Rabies. Rabies is the most feared disease in the world because once it starts showing symptoms, you will die. There is no cure. There is no way back. The virus spreads through the bite or scratch of an infected animal, usually a dog, a bat, or a raccoon. It enters through the wound and begins its silent journey through the nerves, slowly crawling toward the brain. For weeks, maybe months, nothing happens. The person feels fine. Then, a fever, a mild headache, a strange tingling near the bite. That's when it begins. And by that time, it's already too late. The virus takes control. The patient becomes anxious, aggressive, or terrified. They may hallucinate. And then comes the most bizarre symptom of all, hydrophobia, a violent fear of water. The throat spasms painfully whenever they try to drink. Even the sound of running water triggers panic. Soon, the muscles twist uncontrollably. Foam builds around the mouth. The body thrashes, then collapses into paralysis. Finally, a coma and silence. Death follows within days. The only chance to survive is to get vaccinated immediately after the bite. Miss that chance, and rabies doesn't just kill you. It makes you watch it happen. Smallpox, one of the most feared diseases in human history. It killed more people than any war, any famine, or any plague. And for thousands of years, it ruled the world like a shadow that never left. Smallpox was caused by the variola virus. It spread easily through coughing, sneezing, even through touch. Once infected, there was no escape. A high fever, a headache, then the rash. Blisters covered the skin, the mouth, the eyes, the throat. They filled with pus, burst open, and left deep scars behind. For centuries, smallpox wiped out entire civilizations. It killed kings and children alike. In the 18th century, it took nearly 400,000 lives every year. And in the 20th century alone, 300 million people died. In 1796 came the first vaccine. A British doctor named Edward Jenner noticed that milkmaids who caught cowpox, a mild disease from cows, never got smallpox. So he performed an experiment. He took material from a cowpox blister and injected it into a young boy. Weeks later, he exposed the boy to smallpox, and the boy didn't get sick. In 1980, after one of the largest vaccination campaigns in history, the World Health Organization declared it eradicated. Smallpox became the first and only human disease ever wiped out from the planet. But samples of the virus still exist, locked away in 2 labs, one in the United States and one in Russia. If it ever escapes again, most of humanity has no immunity. Fatal familial insomnia, a disease that kills you slowly by taking away the one thing every human needs to survive: sleep. It's one of the rarest genetic diseases ever recorded, passed down through just a few families in the entire world. It begins with mild insomnia, then grows into something terrifying. The brain simply forgets how to fall asleep. The mutation attacks the thalamus, the part of the brain that controls sleep and dreams. As days pass, the mind starts to unravel. The body wants rest, but the brain refuses. They start sweating, trembling, hallucinating, as reality begins to break apart. In the next stage, they can't speak properly. Their heart races. Their mind slips into a waking coma, trapped between sleep and death. Sedatives don't work. Sleeping pills don't work. Nothing can make them rest. And they die awake, usually within a year. There's no cure, no prevention, and if you carry the mutation, you'll never know when it starts. You'll just stop sleeping, and once that happens, nothing can wake you again. Kuru, the Laughing Death. Kuru was once called the Laughing Death, a disease so strange that its victims laughed uncontrollably as their brains were being destroyed. It was found among the Fore people of Papua New Guinea in the 1950s. At first, no one understood it. Perfectly healthy women and children would suddenly begin to tremble, slur their speech, and fall to the ground laughing. Doctors were horrified to discover the truth. The disease was spreading through ritual cannibalism. The Fore believed that eating the bodies of their dead was a way to honor them, to keep their spirit alive. But what they were really consuming was the infection hiding inside the brain. Kuru was caused by prions, misfolded proteins that turn the brain into a sponge full of holes. There was no cure, no treatment, and it could take years before symptoms appeared. But once they began, there was no stopping them. Victims lost balance, laughed uncontrollably, and finally became paralyzed, unable to eat, drink, or move. Whole families died one after another. Entire villages fell silent. By the time cannibalism was banned, thousands were already gone. Mad cow disease, a brain infection that terrified the world. It didn't come from a virus. It didn't come from bacteria. It came from something far stranger, a protein that destroys the mind from the inside out. Farmers first noticed it in their herds. Perfectly healthy cows began stumbling, twitching, and acting like they'd lost their minds. They kicked walls, screamed, and collapsed, shaking on the ground. But the real cause wasn't a germ. It was a prion, a tiny protein folded the wrong way. And when one prion touches another, it forces it to fold wrong too, like a chain reaction inside the brain. One cell at a time, it eats the mind alive. The infection jumped from cattle to humans through contaminated meat. At first, nobody knew. People started showing strange symptoms, mood swings, clumsiness, forgetting words mid-sentence. Then the spasms began, the hallucinations, and finally, total collapse. To stop the outbreak, millions of cows were slaughtered across Britain. Entire farms burned to ash. The meat industry collapsed. People were terrified to eat beef, and governments banned British exports for years. By the time it was over, more than 180,000 cows were infected, and around 200 people had died. Noma, sometimes called the face-eating disease. It begins quietly, with a small sore inside the mouth, but within weeks it destroys everything: the flesh, the jaw, and even the identity of its victim. Noma mostly affects malnourished children living in extreme poverty, where food, clean water, and medicine are scarce. It starts as a gum infection, something that should be harmless, but the body is too weak to fight back. Soon, the infection spreads across the mouth and face. The skin begins to rot. The smell becomes unbearable. Tissue melts away, and bone is exposed beneath. Up to 90% of untreated children die within weeks. Those who survive are left permanently disfigured. They can't speak properly. They can't eat. Many are shunned by their own communities. They hide their faces, not out of shame, but pain. Noma is caused by bacteria that already live in most of us, but when hunger and poor hygiene weaken the body, those same bacteria become killers. The disease eats the face, but it's poverty that truly kills the child. Hope this video was informative to you. This is Paintified. Do leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can watch other videos from the end screen. Thank you.